Yo, Magic Mike in that mix. You tune in to the Magic Show Deluxe. We're everywhere. We are syndicated. You know what I mean? That's the next level over here. I gotta say big ups to MJ, man. She's been swooping me up with interviews, you know what I mean? But on the Zoom right now, and we're on the TV. We're on everybody's TV, audio. We're on audio too as well on the radio. We got my man Hectic, the Latin
Go.
assassin, right here in the house. What's going on, my G?
Let's go. Let's go. We out here. We chilling, man. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing fine, man. I love your background. Those of you who can't see us, his background, Fleet Artist. I like that. And you got the two
Yes.
microphones.
Yes. Well, that's actually the logo for the Fleet artists, for the Fleet DJs. They ended up starting a Fleet artist department that they pushing through SAC Swag 100. So I was one of the first artists that they've selected to be part of their artist program and pushing artists. So this is their logo in the back. So I just make sure always, shout out to them.
So you're
And,
Brown. So you're from Brownsville, Brooklyn. You know what I mean? Brownsville's a is a dirty place, man. You know what I mean? Serious
yes,
place.
yes, yes,
Serious
yes.
place. Let's talk about your upbringings in Brownsville, New York, Brooklyn, New York.
I'm a older head, so I'm in my 40s. So, I grew up in Brownsville and in the, I was born in the early 80s, 82 boy. So growing up in the 80s, early 90s, going to school, you know what I mean? Like shit was crazy. I mean, the projects, my school was basically right across the street from my house, like the project. So it was like
Hmm.
there, you know what I mean? Coming up, you know, in the summer, going to the school, eating free lunches every night. You hearing something popping off, whether it's yelling, whether it's gunshots, whether it's whatever, and I just remember like me as a youngin, because and it was a four building project, and basically like my mother's immediate family was in this four building project. My grandmother, my aunt, my cousins, and stuff like that. And a lot of times she just chilled at my grandmother's crib, so guns popping off, she run into the window to make sure it ain't one of us coming from the store or coming from, my older cousins coming from work or coming from college or whatever that just got popped because we hearing gunshots every night and shit like that. So it was crazy. It was crazy.
So, you know what I mean? Growing up in the 80s and 90s, the golden era of hip hop. You know what I mean? You must have heard it really strong out in Brownsville, Brooklyn.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what I mean? Like when we hit junior high school, we left Brownsville. We ended up living in Sheepstead, but we were still in Brooklyn. And yes, I mean, you know what I mean? Like listening to Hot 97, um, listening to Onyx and KRS-One and G-Rap and Big Daddy Kane. And then, when I started becoming, you know, coming into like my early teenage years, that's when like your Bigs and your Pacs and your
Hmm.
Redmans and your Wu-Tangs
So you're heavily influenced by, Wu-Tang, like you said, Biggie Smalls, Big Pun, KRS-One, and more. You know what I mean?
and yep, and Nas. That's my GOAT right there. Nas to me is the greatest rapper of all time.
So with that battle with Jay-Z and Nas, we know who you were going for.
I was the main one saying I'm from Brooklyn, and Nas won that.
Yeah, yeah. Ain't hard to tell. Isn't that baseline? I saw Nas live. There's a festival here called
Me
Blues
too.
Fest, right? Blues Fest, and this is back in the day. He came at the last Blues Fest, I think a couple years ago here in Ottawa. But I saw him when he first came, and he had
Okay.
Green Lantern as his DJ. When Ain't Hard to Tell came on, okay, Ain't Hard to Tell with that bass line, just on CD growing up and tape and stuff, that was a crazy bass line.
That that
You hear
my
that live, that bass goes right through your body. I
That's
swear to
one of my
God.
favorite songs. I mean, Illmatic to me, outside of like Illmatic, 36 Chambers, only built for Cuban Link, like Illmatic to me was the best album. Like, there's no skip. You put that, you just put it in and you go for a ride. And that was the last song. And like when Nas came through, it was just like something different. And then, he was cool with Wu, he was cool with that. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like at that time, everything was just great music and just, you know, not like I said, Nas to me the way he spit, the way he can talk about the hood, the way he could get hood, the way he drops knowledge all in one verse. Like to me, and I got to see Nas too. I went to the New York State of Mind tour, and they
Hmm.
did time and they did the second time with Wu-Tang.
Yeah,
And just
yeah.
like you said, and they had Lantern as the DJ.
So this is probably the same year, right,
Yeah,
man?
or whatnot.
2015,
No,
2015.
no, I'm talking about this was like 2 years ago.
2 years ago? Okay, so you're still with Lantern. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and whatnot. And like I said, it was his tour, but Wu-Tang was a part of it too.
Hmm.
Meth only showed up to one show, but all the rest of the members from Wu were there. And he just like the crowd, and most of the crowd was people like us.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Hmm.
we're
Hmm.
just singing
It's older. It
along.
was an older generation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was just like wow. You know what I mean? It was such a great show. I mean,
You got
KRS,
you
go
got an
ahead.
album, right? Called Life is Always Hectic Part 2. Let's talk
Yes,
about that
that's right. Yeah.
project. Was it just
Um,
what we talking about here with the producers on this one?
yes. Okay. Well, I dropped Life is Always Hectic Part 1 in 2023. So this was basically part two. There was a lot of pretty much the same producers except for different. Shout out to Dr. G. He's someone that
Big
is
ups to Dr. G from the UK. I've known that
yeah.
brother since 2011, 2012.
So
Now, I always go to his social media and he's gotten so much people, right? I heard when people go over to the UK, he's taking care of them. You know what I mean? Great. He's doing a great job. Production's
listen,
still on. Oh, man.
me,
Yeah, man.
Dr. G, me, and my homie Guns, the lucky bastard. Shout out to him, Empire in the building, got the vision in the building. We known Dr. G since the MySpace days. And, when he was first coming up and he would send us beats. And, during his rise, he never forgot about us. And he took us with his rise.
Hmm.
And still to this day, he was all over part one, he's all over part two. And I still have joints that, I will be dropping. I got a joint with Aguilar that'll be dropping here shortly.
Big ups to Agala, you know?
That Dr. G produced.
Dr. G's been working with Alagar for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the track that I have on Life is Always Hectic Part 2 with Billy Dance. Shout out to Billy Dance.
Speaking of that, we're gonna be playing that. It's called Remember Me. We're gonna be playing
Yes,
that.
and
Do you got a
and
video for that?
not yet, not yet.
You got a YouTube
Hopefully
channel?
we can get there. Yes, I do. Hectic the Latin Assassin on the YouTube channel, but not yet. Hopefully we can make that happen. Dr. G was a big part of that track happening
Okay.
because of his, relationship with Billy Dance. He produced the song. Also I have a track on there with Big Noid, this was the second time me working with Noid, and Dr. G produced that track, My Block.
Hmm.
And you know what I mean? He played a lot to do with that as well. So like, you know what I mean? Like, I have Dr. G on there. Shout out to Hanzo Blades. Uh, I have AdWords, Animal Cracker, Boomtack Beats. Um, Trying to make sure I don't leave anybody.
Anybody out on this one? Yeah.
Skinny Bones, The Godfather, has a joint on there. Shout out to Jester Exodus or what have you. But Dr. G's on like probably like three beats on part one. He was on three beats. Hanzo Blade is someone I work with a lot. He's on a couple joints on both. So Dr. G plays a big part. And like I said, we've been friends we're brothers for a long time. Just like
Yeah. So
and
let me ask you something. Where are you right now? You're in Brownsville right now?
no, right now I'm in Florida.
You're in Florida.
Right,
Oh,
right
even
now I'm
better.
in
Even
Florida.
better. Even better.
Right now I'm
So
in Florida.
how was that transition with you when you moved from Brownsville, Brooklyn to Florida?
Well, had a couple stops before I made Florida. I guess after we left Brownsville, it was Sheepshead. After Sheepshead, I ended up moving with my dad in the Bronx because once you got a little older, my parents split up. Wanted to go.
How'd you like the Bronx?
Yeah, the Bronx was, I was on East Tremont, 179th of the Concourse
Is it
by.
true what they say? Like the Bronx is the roughest borough in New York?
Hey man,
Because I
shit
heard,
was
bro, I
crazy
heard,
back
bro, I
then,
know
man.
Brooklyn. You don't trust a
That shit
Brooklyn.
was
You don't trust a
block
Brooklyn nigga. That's one thing.
block. You know what I mean? Like if you're on the wrong block, they know it. And,
Okay.
and shit was rough. I mean, the one thing about the Bronx in that era, though, that most of the Bronx where I was staying at was Puerto Ricans,
Is that your
Dominicans.
background? Your
Well,
background's
I'm
Puerto
Puerto
Rican?
Rican, yeah.
Both
So
parents.
yes, both parents.
Okay, okay, okay.
One was
Both.
born in Puerto
So,
Rico.
so
One's a New York Rican. One's born in Puerto Rico. I'm
yeah,
a New York Rican,
yeah,
obviously, but
yeah.
both parents Puerto Rican. And at that era, there was a lot of Puerto Ricans and a lot of Dominicans that lived in that era. Because
So, how do you feel about this new administration with Trump?
not, I'm not down.
Look what he's doing up here with Canada with the tariffs. No disrespect to
Yeah,
Trump, he's just doing his job. To me, I see he's doing his job, right? But
yeah.
whoever's playing whoever's like behind the scenes or whatever, it's getting hectic over here. It's getting really hectic.
But the thing is, to me, like I'm usually not down with whoever they really put in there because like the first time I was able to vote was the Al Gore George Bush vote. And I
Hmm.
was out here in Florida by then.
Hmm.
'Cause
Your accent,
after
your accent's
Trump,
changed. I'm not gonna lie, your accent's changed. I down south. I used to do business with a lot of people from down south over the phone. I hear myself changing up. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And like, after that vote where, Gore won and then they did the re-vote and he lost and everything, I just kind of had more of a mind of, can like I don't even vote. You know what I mean? They put in who they want to put in. That's the way they got their own thing, and that's politics. Everything got, there's politics in everything.
Same saga over and over. I mean, what's your
Yeah,
social media?
so
How can they get a hold of you? What's your social media?
IG, Hectic the Latin Assassin, the THE. Like I said, YouTube, Hectic the Latin Assassin. Twitter, Hectic, HUCTIK from BK. On Facebook, Hectic, the way spelled Negron Jr. Because his family on there, so I try to
Hmm.
keep put my government in there so that way they can find me. But that's pretty much, outside of Twitter being Hectic from BK, everything else is Hectic the Latin Assassin, and Facebook being Hectic Negron Jr.
We're gonna play your track. Remember me. Is that gonna be one of your tracks? You're gonna do a video for? Get Billy Danz in the video.
I hope so, man. Like shout out to K Banger on the hook, and you know what I mean. Like
Big ups to Dr. G on the production.
and big up to Dr. G on production, and K Banger was an artist that I met with at a show that I performed that he performed too. And I did a tour with Full Blast Booking in the Punchline Academy, Shade 45, and we ended up linking up and he did the hook and like shout out to MJ. She represents,
Big
Billy
ups to
also.
MJ.
And,
Great
and
job. She knows the artist, man.
yeah,
She knows the
and
artist.
I was referred to her by two separate people, and that's how, she's done an awesome job. And, Billy's been busy, but she's definitely trying to get us linked together, to
I'm
see what
pretty sure it's gonna
possibilities.
happen. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Money
to see what
talks, right?
possibilities.
Anytime you
Yeah,
involve money, we can make it happen. You know?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So, and K Banger, the type of person that he's like, hey, you call me wherever we do it, I'll be there. So, 2/3, it's a dream if that can happen. I mean, him being from Brownsville, me being from Brownsville, as one of the biggest things for me, working with MOP, even if it's just one of them,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
being
Mm-hmm.
from
Mm-hmm.
that same hood
Mm-hmm.
and, knowing that stuff and coming up and Tyson and Riddick Bowe and all these
Yeah.
famous people from,
I've seen that you guys it's
Brownsville.
grimy out there where you're from. Very grimy, you
You,
know?
you know what I mean? Like shout out to like a Rusty Jux and
Big ups to Rusty Jukes. Yeah.
Rusty Jux and Agalot. They all from the Ville as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like
The list
so.
goes on. The list goes on. I know a few too as well, you know?
Mhm.
So anything you want to say to anybody out there right now that's tuned in?
Um, anyway, I wanted to shout out my wife for supporting me with, everything, music, merch, everything. Shout out to her. She's my biggest support system. Shout out to God Division, all my brothers in God Division. Shout out to Fleet Artists. Shout out to Fleet DJs. Shout out to MJ. Like I said, our relationship, the way it started, couldn't gone better. And shout out to you for having me.
Of course, man. The Magic Show Deluxe syndicated. We got my man right here, Hectic the Latin Assassin, with his track Remember Me featuring Billy Danz and K Bang, produced by Dr. G. Right here in that mix. Let's go.
Dr. G, Hectic, Billy Danz, K-Banger. Remember me from 440 Watkins Street, Thetford Ave, between Livonia and Osborne B. Mother Gasket Boulevard, but my old school functions. PS41 with young duns, got school summer lunches where you walk the key through. Other way was associated. Learn how to think maniacal with a speech that's cultivated. Had to learn the weight and prices and hustle to flip joints. Bread with no dead press on my money like Bitcoin. What order the rich toys top money could buy. Had to learn this about investments in your credit, the rise. Some cats think 730 mean you talk.